Mr. Speaker, thank you so much. House Bill 453 is my bill. When I became a freshman, about a month into my term of office, I crafted this 4-page bill, and it was passed by 192 to 0. I was pretty pumped up. It went over to the Senate, and it came back a 77-page bill, and that would be the equivalent of calling Cabela's, ordering a canoe, and having them deliver an aircraft carrier. But as you look back at what happens, we have to look at our financial responsibility. Our financial responsibility covers a broad gamut, but it includes those citizens in this Commonwealth, 60% of whom are living from paycheck to paycheck. A tax increase, a gross receipts tax, is the most regressive tax of all. It falls on those who have the least ability to pay. I've heard people talk about credit downgrades. I've lived in that world. But I was elected by the citizens of my district to represent them in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, not Standard & Poor's, not Moody's, and not any other credit agency. And please remember, those are the same credit agencies that gave a complete pass to virtually every bank and virtually Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and every other individual organization involved in the housing bubble that burst, that created one of the greatest economic debacles in the history of this nation. I was not elected by these rating agencies, but I have a financial responsibility to make sure that we do the right thing. And this bill, with the amendments for concurrence, is the right thing to do, and I urge a yes vote. We must enact this bill to get back to the basics of budgeting and finance. We have to establish financial discipline. Just keep in mind, as you look about the $630 million that we're talking about transferring from these special funds, they are surplus. I've personally looked at them. And to show you how much it is a surplus, the treasurer has already used $750 million of that, and will, in fact, as a result of this budget passing, return $120 million to those funds. You know, right before I came up to speak, I got an email from a special interest group, and he said, Frank, we've looked at the records, and we still have $5.5 million outstanding for obligations going back to 2013. And they thought that would convince me, and instead it stiffened my resolve that these are surplus funds. How dare we take money from citizens of this Commonwealth who need it to make their ends meet after seeing double-digit increases in health insurance? How dare we take it from them 4 years before we need it? And even with that, we've accounted for those funds. Additionally, I want to just make this comment. My bill, House Bill 453, when and if it's enacted, will save $400 million because it requires agencies that get audited by the Auditor General to respond to those audits, and it gives the appropriations of the House and the Senate the ability to determine if those funding levels continue. Let's get on with the business of the Commonwealth. Let's get on with the business of a financial rescue plan. Let's tighten our belts the way we've asked every citizen to do in the Commonwealth. Let's remember when we say to them it's only $5 more per week, that why don't we just say to us, out of a $32 billion budget, perhaps we can recognize our responsibility to not waste $650 of hard-earned money. Please vote for this bill. Let's get on board and help us fix the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.